Hi, happy to have you here as part of the Rice World Summit, and we are at our 11th edition, and very happy to have you. Being, you working in the sustainable line, and especially on sustainable fashion. So happy to have you part of this SDG Day. So yeah, we have with us Kritish, who's the founder of Liv Bio. He works more on making natural dyed fabrics. So over to you, Kritish, to take the session forward. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aparna, and thank you, the ID Pro and the Rice World Summit, for having me here. So tonight, I'm going to talk about sustainability as a general subject, and we are going to dive deep into the farm to fashion model. So we all have heard in sustainability that farm to fashion and circularity and sustainable clothing, all these things. So there are two to three takeaways for people. So one is basically for consumer level, how our thinking should be there when we think about sustainability in terms of our choices, and also if somebody wants to start sustainable entrepreneurship, how to go about it in a proper way, like in an ethical way. So this I'm going to talk about today, and let's dive deep into the PPT. So our company is Liv Bio. We are a social enterprise focusing on sustainability in daily life. So we are into respectively three categories, which is natural food, sustainable clothing, sustainable homes, and sustainable education. So sustainability, whenever we talk about, it has to be a holistic approach. That's what we have catered to. And so why we exist? We believe in a non-violent economy. So any farm to fashion or sustainability, circular fashion, United Nations Development Goals, these all things have come up in recent 30, 40 years. That's because the way we are functioning in the world is not proper. It's not aligned with natural systems of the earth. It's not aligned with nature. So that's the reason we are facing a lot of problems today, and we are talking about possible solutions. So for our thing, why we exist is because we want to become the face for the voice for the voiceless. We want to become like voice for the plants animals and species, and the right to live is what we feel that it's eco-friendly products. So yeah, so every company, whatever we do, we have a certain set of principles, core values, which are basically earth care, people care, animal welfare, and compassion. So these four are the pillars for a sustainable enterprise. That's what we feel. So whatever we do, it has to be centered around these four pillars of sustainability, pillars of life. See, because if we are doing a sustainable product, if you're only caring for the environment, if you're not caring for the people who are working with you, then again it would be a very difficult space to be in. So, and compassion is the key which joins all these three aspects. That's what we feel. So we have a certain projects which we do. um, Coming back, so what are responsibilities? So whenever we think about sustainable journey, what's the first thing which comes? So normally if people who don't know what is sustainable now, because now there are several terms whenever we talk about sustainability. So whoever is starting a business or in sustainable entrepreneurship, or whoever is trying to live or adapt to a sustainable journey, these are the first things which you should ponder upon whenever you want to start on your journey in sustainability. So what are those things? Now certain, so it's anything which we do in normal life, it's basically either you offer a product or a service. So when it comes about the product, now we talk about how this product was made, how this product was Are they happy doing your products? Are you paying them well? Is this product healthy for you and your planet? Whether at the pre-production level or the post-production, whatever you're making, any product, be it food, clothing, or any product you're doing it, is it helping the environment and is it solving the problems? Are people healthy? Is it affecting people's health? Will it impact the environment after you discard it? Why are you buying this product? This is a very important question because we all talk about sustainability, but the main issue which we are facing in this world is overconsumption. We all know because we are consuming more than we need. That's why we are in this soup, you know. That's why we are in this place in the first place. So if we are mindful about what we consume, if we use it mindfully, then I think half of the problems would just disappear from the face of the earth. So then one more thing is, does the product match the perceived value? So if you're buying any product, maybe like for 100 rupees or 200 rupees, or maybe $1 or $2, so whatever you're buying, does it match the perceived value? From consumer point of view, a company has to think about these aspects also if you want to launch a quality product. Does the company, so whenever if you're buying any product, does the company care about the environment, the living beings? Is it giving back to the community? Even this is important because your money, if you're putting in your money, your money is getting used to not invest in those companies as well, neither support their products. Was this product tested on animals or causing harm to animals in any way? So these are basic things which you basically have to go through before you start your sustainable journey. This is our process towards our supply chain, how we take care of it. Then this is our environment. So what our products, whatever we do, this is how we take care of. This is our responsibilities, how we degrade. Our products are naturally biodegradable. Then towards other living beings, it's very important because in sustainability we always talk about from human perspective. Whatever United Development Goals, we have one certain thing called protecting biodiversity or restoring biodiversity. It is restoring for human beings. That's the motive. Whatever things we come up with, we always think in terms of in human centric approach, but whereas we never think about from animal perspective. We are saving the animals because our ecosystem would get disturbed and human beings will suffer, climate change would suffer, more human beings will suffer, but we never think about basic animal rights, basic animal issues, what they're going in. What happens when if the animal gets extinct? What problems are they facing? Do they have enough water to drink? Do they have enough land to feed on forest? All these things we never think about those perspective. So that's what we our company is mostly dwelling into these topics. So what is sustainability? So when we talk about farm to fashion, what is farm to fashion? Farm to fashion is nothing but, it's not about you're documenting, like it's not about the process where from farm whatever you grow you show it to the people, you show how your garments, suppose in example I can give you in garments, in clothing sector. So farm to fashion is not that you show how your cotton is grown, how economically your eco-friendly your cotton is grown, how eco-friendly your fabrics are made, and how the entire chain you're showing. That is not farm to fashion. That's not at all farm to fashion. Farm to fashion is more about, see, supposing I'm growing cotton in India. I'm growing cotton in India in some village. Then I'm making in India, and then I'm sending it to a European country. That is not farm to fashion. Though companies would market it as farm to fashion is something more. It's about how locally your setup is there, how like each and every stage of process, is it done in a certain radius, like importing, like cotton importing from India and consuming Europe. That is not farm to fashion. If you are making in Europe, if you are growing a product in Europe which is basically can be grown in Europe. Maybe Europe cannot grow cotton. What it can grow? It can grow linen, it can grow wool, it can grow linen. So that is farm to fashion. And that, if you can basically make it in Europe, consume in Europe, use their resources and consume there, recycle there, upcycle there, and whatever excess is there, that you can export. So that is what farm to fashion. Farm to fashion, people have normally in today's economy, in sustainable economy, people have got it confused. They think that if you grow economically, like organically, you grow in some country, and then you then import it, show a story that this is how it is made. That is not farm to fashion, because it's having a huge impact. Clothing is the second largest. I'll come back to the clothing. So this is what farm to fashion is for a general terms. If you want to understand sustainability from a true holistic way, this is what farm to fashion is. Make in local economy, consume in local, and discard locally. You don't export your waste to other countries. You don't use other countries water or other countries resources to make, unless and until it is a food maybe grow and people are starving, then that's acceptable. But for clothing, I think it's not acceptable when we talk about farm to fashion and exports. So that's why we don't do any exports of natural dyed clothing, because water is very precious. It takes water to make one garment color, and that 1700 make one Indian garment. Liters of water is only used only for coloring your garment, and that is not coming from rain fed or something like that. We are pumping from ground. So just imagine, like Chennai. Just imagine Chennai is making for the world, for Europe. It's making, like, it's making people for like 100 crore. Like they're making like maybe like lakhs and pieces of garment. Already farmers are suffering in Chennai due to water shortage and less rainfall, climate change, and everything. How does it use this many resources of water, impacting several villages where people don't have drinking water? You're using it, consuming it for garments and for exports and for other country. It doesn't make any sense. It's not about like economics. Economics also doesn't work, because the climate cost is huge. When there is no water, water is life. If there is no water, there is no food, there is no clothing. And clothing is one thing which is very basic. People can do without dyeing also, without color also, but still we use so many resources. Just imagine one garment you wear, one garment we are wearing, it consumes 1500 liters of water just to color the garments. And that water, once it is used and then it just discarded, because 50% goes in evaporation, and it doesn't. And the chemicals, colors, it's not used. The water is basically like, it's like of no drinking. It cannot be used for drinking, it cannot be used for farming. Nothing, not neither animals can drink, neither human beings can drink, neither you can do farming. So every day we are pumping so much of water. The water levels in India, earlier 100 feet if you dig, you will find water. But in span of after industrial revolution, in a span of 30 40 years, now if you see, the water has gone to 800 feet, 1000 feet, 1200 feet, 1500 feet. So above 500 feet, 600 feet, it is basically sea level water. It's not advisable for farming issues. It's not advisable for drinking also. So average per person consumes 1000 liters of drinking water per year. Just imagine one garment you buy, it's like 1500 liters of water is pushed, gone. So this is how we consume. So that's why it's very important that we identify the entire. Clothing is very important because it's an everyday product of our life. it has become an FMCG. It's very important that we understand what is sustainability. Sustainability is nothing but just divide the word sustain and ability. It's basically how to ability to sustainability is nothing but to be able to hold on to what life on earth, ecosystem, our spiritual self, resources which we have, and also these are the things what sustainability is about. It's not about in the terms of circular economy or recycle or upcycle. This is the basic fundamentals. Once you get the fundamentals right, once you get the fundamentals right, then you can basically bring on circular economy, recycling economy, upcycling economy, all these things will automatically fall in place. So simple clothing is nothing but there has to be a purpose of clothing. What's the purpose of clothing? Why are we buying clothes? Why did human beings invented clothing? Why are we buying this? So that purpose has been lost due to the fast fashion, due to the current textile process industries. So the purpose has to be to protect your body. The fabric has to be breathable. It has to fit for all the weathers. The colors which you use has to be naturally from the nature. It should not be from petrochemicals, or it should not be from artificial colors which you make nowadays. It has to be easily recyclable. Once the life cycle is there, it has to be biodegradable, and it has to be culturally inclusive. So this is one very important. Culturally inclusive. If you see Indian clothing history, right? If you see um, clothing, like, if you see majority of the states in India used to have a similar sort of clothing. In South, if you see, like in Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, they used to wear white and white. If you see in North, in Gujarat, MP, Rajasthan, they used to wear white and white garments. Why white and white? Because it was culturally inclusive, and there's a story behind it. There's a science behind that why the clothing was there. So clothing was always has to be unified, and it has to be culturally inclusive. Because when it is culturally inclusive, then you can basically understand that why they are doing it. So these are the things. Our process is nothing but we do plantation. So we work with farmers in particular region, in some parts of in Gujarat and some in Tamil Nadu, from our entire cotton till the recycling stage. You can call it till recycling. It's done in 100-kilometer radius. It's not that we basically buy the cotton from we buy the yarn from some other country, and then we buy the colors from some other country or some other state. Entire thing, like, we complete in 100-kilometer radius. So your plantation is there locally, cotton is grown, your harvesting is done locally, the yarn in nearby 100 wherever the cotton going states are there, nearby, every near very big cotton farm, everywhere you will find the spinning yarn also. So there we do it either by hand spun, hand woven, we do it manually, or we use machines to do it. Then the fabric is there, that also is made locally. Then the dyeing is there. Dyeing is also whatever natural plants and flowers and vegetables we have in that region, or maximum in that state, we use that. And the stitching also is done in that particular state. So we never cross one state. If you see our production, if you are making some garments, supposing if you're making t-shirts or track pants or something, that we will only make from the starting till the end process, we will make it in one state. We will not cross any other state, because again, if you cross other state, again your carbon footprint is more. Then again, you're buying more resources to make one garment. You're again keep on buying different things, different materials. So this is our process, how it's done. So what is clothing? So whenever we talk about natural clothing, so people might be confused, right? What is natural clothing? So natural clothing is nothing but Natural clothing refers to garments made from materials that are derived from nature in original form without processing it chemically. So this is what natural materials are there. Nowadays you will have natural material derived from nature but chemically processed. So that we don't consider it as natural. So anything which is basically minimally processed or no processed and it is in original form. So that is our basically our natural clothing. That are your natural clothing materials. So you have like it can only be derived from plants and it should not be derived from animals, because nowadays wool derived from animals is also they are farming wools, and a lot of um, very bad unethical practices they have when they are taking wool from the sheep. They have a machine, they tie the wool upside down, the sheep they tie the sheep upside down, and forcefully with the machines they do it. Earlier it was not like that. So wool is a very old material, but earlier they used to do it sustainably. They used to, this how we cut our hair, how gentle it is. When you go for a haircut, how gently they do a haircut, a barber. Just in case, just imagine if I put like scissors, like if I do a scratch on your hair, and if I just pull your hair like this, how painful that would be. The same pain animals also go through, the sheep go through when the wool is extracted, in a proper industrial setup. So that's why we don't entertain industrial wool. Sustainable wool, if some people are doing it, we encourage that. So you have cotton, linen, according to Indian weather, you have cotton, linen, hemp, jute, bamboo, banana, and wool also you can take to a certain extent. So there are like in cotton. So in cotton, there are two types of cotton. One is natural cotton, and one is organic cotton. So some benefits are there between cotton. See, cotton as a general fabric itself is wonderful. It's really wonderful. Whether you grow it chemically using some pesticides, like just like how our food is grown, or you use it organic cotton. Through organic cotton, you grow through organic ingredients and everything without using any pesticide. Both are good, because right now, from clothing perspective, we are at a worst stage. So our role is basically try to bring people from worst to bad, then from bad to good, then from good to best. That is what we are in. Right now, from worst, you cannot think about the best, because people would not follow. So at least, shift people from normal polyester garments, artificial clothing, to natural garment like cotton. See, most of the cotton grown in India, 65 to 67% cotton grown in India is rain fed. It is rain fed. So it is done like, like rain fed. No water is being pumped up. So it's a Western narrative that cotton is very water intensive. It is not water intensive, because 65% is grown like normal. Some of our pulses are grown through rain fed, through rainfall. That's all. So you cannot measure that how much rainfall is done. It's just water, you're getting it, cotton is growing it. So still cotton is one of the best material you could go for. So what is natural dyeing? What we do? So what we do is natural dye are nothing but colors derived from plants and Ayurvedic herbs without using any synthetic chemicals to process. So all the garments which we do, which we color, normally all the garments which we do are derived from nature, like nature, and that too 60 to 70% is agricultural waste. So pomegranate fruit, when we eat the pomegranate fruit, so the peels are there. Those peels we use to color your garments. So this is how we used to color the garments since 5,000 years in across the world. And India was one of the pioneers in natural dyeing, and that's one of the reason Britishers had come to India for indigo and spices. These two things. Indigo is basically a natural color. You get a blue, it's a blue color, and that's the mother of all colors, we call. And because of that, in search of that, Britishers had come to India. That was one of the main raw material which they needed in huge quantities. So natural colors like dates back to, I think, since the dawn of civilization is there. Marigold flowers are there. Turmeric is there. Madder is there. Lot of things are there which we can use to color the garments. So what is the benefit of natural dye? When we consume nature. So there are some pros and there are some cons. Let's discuss pros first, and then I will tell you what are the disadvantages also, so that you can make mindful choices. So first thing is, it doesn't causes air pollution, because just imagine when you have a marigold flower, you just dry the flower, you just sun dry the flower, make it completely dry, and then you just make the powder and you just color the garment. Do you think after you color the garment that marigold water is polluted? It certainly won't, because there are no chemicals involved. That again, what we do is, all our water, whatever we use, again we give back to the plants. So it enriches the plant, it regenerates the soil. So that is what natural dyeing is all about. No air pollution. Because whenever you burn, so after you color your garments, like after a year, it goes to a landfill or it's of no use, it gets burned. In burning also, there are no harmful chemicals released in the air. Second is land pollution. There is no land pollution because you just, it this biodegradable. Why there's no land pollution? Because it degrades after its life cycle. Within a span of maybe like 1 year or something like that, it would degrade. Then there's no water pollution. Whatever water pollute you're using it for dyeing, it is basically, it is, if you leave it on the ground also, if you filter it again, and if you feed it to the plants, and you can also use it for your own bathing purposes also. So there's no water pollution. It's not toxic to the skin. It supports local economy. It is environment friendly. There's no deforestation happening. It promotes biodiversity. And also, like, it prevents allergies and rashes. Nowadays people are getting skin infection, rashes and everything, because more and more chemicals we are getting used to it. So when you are in touch with natural resources, when you're aligning your life as per the natural systems of earth, then nothing can go wrong. It will always fix itself. So these natural colors, it suits your like, it's good for your spiritual growth, it's durable and sustainable for plant, people and animals. And it provides rural economy. It promotes rural economy. You're giving, because it's a skill to dye your garment, to color naturally dye. It's a skill, and it's a skill where women can pick up, men can pick up in their part time, and they can earn like 3 times more wages than what they are getting paid in conventional textile industry. So what is artificial clothing? We have learned about what is natural clothing. Now let's learn about what is artificial clothing. See, artificial clothing is nothing but, it is toxic clothing. Artificial toxic clothing we call. It is nothing but, it is made out of synthetic materials that are treated heavily with chemicals that affect on consumers, environment and animal life. So all the chemicals which are toxins, carcinogenic, endocrine disruptors, hormone disruptors, all these chemicals are used in our day-to-day clothing. All the fashion which we are seeing in the world, all the fashion garments, all the colors, attractive colors which we are seeing, the sports jerseys, like, it's not sweating, the sports jerseys we are seeing, all are using carcinogenic chemicals, hormone disruptor chemicals. Some close to 7,000 to 8,000 chemicals are being used in textile to make the artificial clothing. So when you go, so how to identify that? It's simple. Textile, there are, like, they'll give different name for different. So anything which is basically made from fossil fuels or petrochemicals, that is artificial. So you have like different names, like polyester. You have nylon, you have acrylic, you have spandex, you have synthetic rayon, you have modal, you have viscose. All these are not natural. Viscose is derived from wood pulp, but again, they do deforestation, they grow certain plants, then they take the pulp of the wood, then some most harmful chemicals are used in viscose, but they market it as a sustainable fabric. So you have to identify what is sustainable. It's very simple. Whatever is grown in nature, you can see for yourself. Linen is grown, cotton is grown, jute is grown. That is sustainable. It's very easy to identify. So now how does the process is there? So the first part of artificial toxic clothing, they do a deforestation. So when you do a deforestation, what happens when you do a deforestation? All the life, the forest life, like the animal life, goes extinct. So the forest life which is there in the forest, when you cut the trees, the animals go, they migrate to some other areas. Maybe human conflict is there. They migrate to human areas. They migrate to different forests. So that life on that particular forest is gone. Now, in that forest, not even animals, there are human beings also. Indigenous people also stay there. Since time immemorial, they are staying there. Now, what happens when you cut the forest? They don't have any work. They don't have any food. What they do? Then they go to the civilization. They leave the forest and they migrate. So forest is not anymore forest. Like the animals and human beings, indigenous people, they make the forest. So all the life on animal life, they make the forest. Then what they do is they extract oil. Once the land is clear, like then they have huge machineries, they extract oil. After oil extraction, what they'll do is they will send it to the refinery which is far away. Like, they'll be having some, if you want to make some chemicals, it is there in China. If you want to make some chemicals, it is there in US. See that amount of transportation is needed, the amount of carbon emissions we create just to make some chemicals. Then what they do, they make some chemicals. From that chemicals, they make a polyester pallet. From that pallet, you make a thread, artificial polyester thread. From that thread, you can make different types of clothing, your artificial clothing. Then you make fabric. Then, so till this, all the pollution has already been caused maybe 1,000 times, because I'm getting some chemicals from China, the colors I'm getting from China, that process is different, this color is different, that is different. It's so complicated. What finally we get one t-shirt in the retail showroom, or finally one t-shirt we order, or a shirt we order. Just imagine, this is the entire process. It might be very simple when we see that farm to fashion, or like, in those terms, it might be very simple when we walk into a retail store, we buy a garment, and it will be very simple for us, when we look, okay, what we just bought, we paid like 600 or rupees, 1,000 rupees, or $2 or $5 we paid, and we buy it, we use it, we throw it. But behind the story, how it was made, what, like, trace back, just break down, how this has come into a t-shirt. There are close to 1,000 things have gone into one t-shirt that we don't see every day. So it's very important that we identified, okay, how the process is done. Once the garment is there, then we dye it. So the dyeing is again a different industry. For that also you need petrol. Petrol, coal, all these things you need. For that, that is a separate industry. How oil is there. Once you take oil, it's not very simple that you just take oil and you just make products. For coloring also, it's the same amount of chemicals we use, maybe more than that. So this is how it is done. So these are some of the facts, like cancer causing. Microplastics have been found in human blood, mother's milk, rainfall, and food chain. One more important thing which we never speak about is, once you buy, we all talk about pre-production waste. We all talk about once you what how when you make a garment, what all things go into, what all pollution it causes and everything. But we never talk about, once the consumers buy the product, after that what pollution we are creating, nobody talks about that. Every t-shirt you wear, every t-shirt you buy, every t-shirt you wear, every time you wash, one time you wear and one time you wash, some 1,900 microplastics are released in the water. Whether you put it in a washing machine or you wash by hand, the colors and the material, plastic, petrol, through that we have made the fabric. Every time you wash, 1,900 microplastics get released in the waterways, and it is not traceable. There's no technology in the world where they can treat microplastics. Still, they are researching. Now, scientists are saying that there are microbes which will eat plastics and which will eat uh, that microplastics and everything. But just imagine if the microbes eats this plastic, still that particle would always be there, right? The microbe will not disappear to some other planet. It will be there in the earth. It will be there. The microbes will die off. Then the material would always be circulating in the air, land. That's why microplastics now have been microplastics. Nothing. It comes from your clothing. It comes from your coloring garments. It comes from your everyday products, some plastic food packaging items, anything which you see artificially done from petrol, microplastics is involved. So it's found in rainfall, it's found in a food chain, it's found in mother's milk, it's found in womb of a pregnant woman, uh, everywhere. It's found in the blood, everybody. So we don't know what these chemicals, after a certain, if it increases in the human beings, what damage we it does to your human body. Scientists, maybe the study has not come out or they're not letting it come out, but still there is hardly any data that how much is the safe limit. For animals, for fishes and for animals, we have found out that it is disastrous for them. Like their whole endocrine system, because of microplastics, get disturbed, because of the chemicals get disturbed, and within a span of months or days they die in lakhs. If you see fishes, if you see study some articles, within a span of time, like every cow in India, an average cow and buffalo, they have 25 kgs of plastic, 25 to 30 kgs of plastic inside their stomach. This is what we are doing. Just imagine the pain. Outer pain we all can see, but the inner pain we can never see, because they feel it every day. It's so harmful. If you it's so painful also. If you talk to any veterinary specialist, if you talk to any people who are running these NGOs where they treat those animals, and their stomach, it's so harmful. Their entire system gets clogged. Just imagine if I feed you maybe like 2 kgs of plastic, the polythene bags which we use, or the chips packet which we, like when we are really hungry, we eat. Just imagine that if I just, like you just eat that, and then just it's in your stomach, your entire system gets disturbed. So human beings, like, it is getting disrupted slowly. That's why we are getting all these modern diseases now. So it's very important that we get our fundamentals right. We understand where we want to go, and we make healthy choices. There are alternatives. There are alternatives, better, very good alternatives. Natural dyeing is there, khadi garment is there, the white garment. After a certain point of age, if you don't grow naturally unbleached garment, which is the original color of the cotton, it's wonderful. If you go back to history, if you see people wearing that, still they wear in Tamil Nadu, they wear Rajasthan, they wear that like white and white garment. It's not traditional clothing. Beautifully they have done it. So there are options. If you people need colors also, there are options. But it's very important that we identified how much clothing we buy, do an wardrobe audit. We have something called wardrobe audit, where we basically ask ourselves, change starts within our own mind. First, we question ourselves, do we really need this amount of clothing in your life? When 20 years back in our childhood days, hardly, like, yearly once or maximum twice, we used to buy clothing. Now, as per the studies, as per Wazir Consultancy, they have done a study in India. Average Indian consumer used to buy, in 2014-15, used to buy garments, 6 to 7 garments per person in India. If you take an average, per person buy 6 to 7 garments per year, which comes to 3,000, 4,000 rupees. That was the data in 2014 and 15, which they studied in India. Now, the current scenario, it has come to 15 to 16 garments. Average Indian person is buying 15 to 16 garments per year. And you know what is the average garment per person per year in US? it is 68 garments. 68 garments. If you take the total number of average person buys this many garments in every year in US, 68 garments. Just imagine that. And they are saying that by 2030 or by 2035, India would surpass the US average per person consumption. This is the amount of. Just imagine. Now I showed you how many resources are involved: water, land, machinery, animal extinction, just to make one t-shirt, one garment. Just imagine if you are making the average consumption is going on increasing. Just imagine how much water would be needing, what amount of big scarcity we would be going through in some certain cities of water. Just imagine how many diseases we would be going through, because these many garments, if it comes, the consumption level is increasing. Just imagine, obviously, your landfill will increase, your pollution will increase, the chemicals will increase, everything. So, all your this thing, just simple. If you change your lifestyle about clothing, I think majority of your problems will get solved. You'll be like, just declutter yourself. Clothing, like, we have made it into a what other person thinks of my cloth. If you don't wear a nice cloth, then you feel that you cannot connect with the other person. If you go to a wedding, if you are dressed in your old clothes, and if you don't wear your new clothes, then what people you think that people would not will not value you or connect with you. But that's exactly opposite. If you do a proper communication, people need communication, people need bonding, people need relationships, and they are not, nobody has a mindset, like, nobody knows. Even you don't know what you wore 10 days back. How would people know what you wore in your previous wedding or in previous function? So it doesn't matter at all. It's all in our mindset that we are, consumed by consumption. We are consumed by social media. We are consumed by television. So we don't know. So just go walk into a village, see people how simple clothing. Some pockets you will still see people are still living that lifestyle. They're very simple with their clothes. They don't bother, because it's like, what to wear every time you decide. They don't bother. So these are some facts. These are the impacts which we are going on in the clothing industry. Less than 1% of the clothes globally are recycled on clothing. Just less than. Harvard did a study in India in 2019. Uh, we made close to 600 crores of garments. The world population is, they say, 700 or 800 crores. They say, just imagine 600 crores of garments India made for exports and domestic. Just imagine the amount of resources and water we must have consumed, the amount of land we must have destroyed to make those garments. So these are the hard hitting facts. So these are some of the facts which you can find it online, and you can basically do your own research. I think this is what I wanted to share about. I think,
So
and
much,
if
Kritish.
anybody can, yeah, if anybody wants to learn more about sustainability, we are starting an academy next month in online. You can basically Google our company. You can get the details from ID Pro. You can get the details from Aparna, anybody, and you can stay in touch. So thank you so much for having me over, for listening to our story from our perspective. I hope you learned, or maybe like some important things, maybe it must have, got stuck in your mind. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kritish, for giving us some insights about how the farm to fabric actually happens, and giving us more hint to be little conscious on thinking on the environmental and animal perspective. You beautifully, took us through this 1 hour on that aspect.
Yeah.
And yes, if anybody wants to reach out to Kritish, like you can always get in touch with Idobro, and we can always put him to your contact as well. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ritesh, and looking forward
Thanks.
to work with you on a later angle as well.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Bye.